Hi Leo, welcome to your tarot reading for the week of the full blue moon, which is March 31st, and going until the 7th of April. And this is, okay, so this blue moon is falling in your third house, which is the internet, okay? So this full moon with the third house could make you find out something that is internet related. Maybe you find out about somebody, because this is happening during the Mercury retrograde. So there may be some reconnecting with someone from your past even. And that comes about through the internet, and you find out something. Maybe you haven't heard from them in ages. Find out that they're divorced, and you're like, okay, when are we going to get together? Or something along those lines. And the third house is also about your siblings, so you may find out something about your brother or sister, or you have some kind of, realization about something that in your dealings with them. Maybe it's something that was challenging, and you see them in a different light, and that can help you in some way. I'm getting the Four of Pentacles a lot. Okay, so let me put these cards so that they're not in a big pile here. Alrighty then. So the heart of the matter, or the focus this week, is the Four of Pentacles. There may be something with your money that you're trying to get kind of under control. You might be like devising a budget or going over your what you've got. Maybe it is tax time if you're in America, so maybe you're meeting with an accountant to talk about these matters for some reason. And so that's really first and foremost on your mind, or for some reason you're very driven to hold on to your money. And Leo's a very generous sign, so there must be some reason that you feel this way. Let's see who it is. Let's see what it is this time. Let's see who the culprit is. And if this is like a job situation, this can even be like perhaps you're getting a little bit impatient if you were promised a raise, and you're like, hey, I've got bills to pay, or I want to save some money, and what's going on here? Why do you keep putting me off? What crosses you is the Star card. So the Star card in the challenge position, because that's how I read these cards. It's not about how I pick them out of the deck. It's the very nature of this position means I'm going to read it negatively. If the upright is negative, more negative, then I'll read that. So anyway, then the positive aspect of this from the upright position has to do with healing and having your having your face restored. No, your faith restored. This isn't about plastic surgery. Having your faith restored when it comes to life, I guess you could say, itself. So that always tells me is that the person has been going through maybe the dark night of the soul, or some kind of like a major challenge. I remember getting this card one time, and it did something really beautiful for me, because I used to pick long before I ever even had a notion regarding this. I was picking tarot cards from this deck I had. It was a Rider-Waite deck. And I didn't even know what each card represented, like, by heart. I would always have to look it up. But I remember getting the Star card and it really healing me, because it really helping me. In those days, doing my own readings helped me to comfort me. And I never read for myself anymore. It's really funny. My partner was asking me, why don't you do a reading? I said to him, I don't really feel like doing that anymore for some reason. You know, I just don't know why, but I don't. So usually when you see that in the upright position, you're thinking of the worst is over. You've been really going through a lot and now you're on the upswing. In the challenged position, there is something that is keeping you from feeling hopeful. And again, if it's in the workplace, you may have been patiently waiting for some kind of a raise or a promotion that would produce more money, and maybe you're getting jerked around. Or in a personal relationship, maybe there's even an Aquarius, which is your opposite sign, who is creating problems in your life, because the bottom line is the Eight of Swords. You feel stuck about this situation, and you feel like you can't make a move because you're just like totally oppressed. But actually the swords, while they do relate to Aquarius and Libra and Gemini, and they relate to your thoughts. And when the person is doing it to themselves, they're creating their own prison with their thoughts. One of the biggest ways you imprison yourself is by thinking that you can't do something that you can clearly do. A perfect example is you are very unhappy in a job and you say, I can't quit. Well, of course you can. You could go to the boss and you could say, this is my last day working for you. There's no law that says you have to work someplace. How do people feel trapped? They feel like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? That's that Four of Pentacles at the top. That is right above the lack of hope and the Eight of Swords, where that need for financial security becomes all-consuming. And it prevents you from taking the necessary steps to get out of a negative situation. And it could be in your personal life as well. The higher message is the King of Cups, so this can be telling you that you do have options as the spiritual card. And the reason I created a position for the spiritual perspective is because the worldly perspective only looks at things as they are right now. And you can't prove that if you quit your job, you'd be able to pay your bills next month. There's no proof that you would be able to do that unless you had a certain amount of savings. So the whole point of having a spiritual position is to look at it from a higher perspective. The King of Cups is a card that connects to an older man who is could be very compassionate. You know, could be a very caring person. Sometimes this can be your father. And so maybe it's saying you could move in with your father if you want to get away from a bad relationship. Sometimes we have options, but we're ashamed to choose them, because then our egos get bruised. We feel like we're proving that we made a mistake. And yet, let's say that you got involved with somebody that your family did not approve of, and they thought that this person wasn't going to be a good influence on you or what have you, and they were right. Your ego, Leo, which is not a minor thing to consider sometimes, may get bruised, and you may feel like embarrassed to admit that they're right, and you don't want to go slinking off with your tail between your legs and have to ask your parents to live with them. But And maybe something that if you were in a better state of mind, you would easily do. Also, he may be able to help you financially because he does care about you and he does love you. This could be a spiritual advisor or a therapist who is helping the healing process. The Star card is pointing to kind of turning away from that healing. But this person may be a very good person in terms of helping you to understand your patterns and to help you get back on track. It could be a boss who, you know, it could be like as a spiritual message is saying that there are bosses out there who are very compassionate, that not all bosses are evil and just greedy and don't care about you as a human being. What is coming in is represented by the Three of Swords. This is a card of rejection, feeling betrayed by somebody. So, again, you may be in a situation, maybe you know that your partner is probably cheating and you have a hard time coping with this because you want to believe the best, even though this person is telling you ridiculous things. And so if that's the case, you have to be willing, you know, this is going back to that full moon. Some secret may come out and you may find out about it in an indirect way, like the internet, as I said, where they told you, the person told you that maybe it's even your spouse, you know, you find out, you go online and you find out that your partner has been seen with somebody else, or somebody might email you and tell you, who knows, but you feel that sense of rejection. But actually, the weird thing is, that sense of rejection that the Three of Swords offers is the key to you going off into a new direction in life. Because I know that there are some Leos out there who prolong the inevitable and their agony simply because they're fixed signs, they don't want change, they want to maintain the status quo. And a card like the Three of Swords can be very liberating. But the other thing too about the Three of Swords is it can be almost advising you not to prolong this, to just cut something very cleanly and quickly, like a surgeon. Because the Three of Swords can be like heart surgery too, you know. So if that's something that is where you are planning to do, that might be in April, but or at least the beginning of April. But also just that tendency to, you know, hold on to something that is not happening. You may have to do something uncharacteristic for yourself, which is kind of like cut it off. What is coming in? I love this card. I wanted to put this on all of the thumbnails because this is April Fool's Day, is April 1st. This is the zero, the unknown quantity. The first card of the tarot, the zero. So there's no way of knowing. This is like the absolute embryo of a new situation. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but you don't care because you're on a new path. And you see how the person's head is cocked back and the sun is kind of like shining on his back. There's a carefree, you know, that the flower power kind of a thing. The person's dressed in all kinds of, it almost looks like a psychedelic, you know, outfit from the swinging 60s or something. Because that sense of freedom. And that's you. I mean, that's what you're getting. So you have to go through sometimes a little bit of pain in order to get into that frame of mind, whether it's a new career direction for yourself or a new love situation. And the outcome is the Justice. Okay, if you're in a marriage, you may be going down that route, dissolving the marriage. If you are in a job that you have clearly been treated unfairly, then it's like just desserts. There's cause and effect in the universe. And actually, when people are feeling vengeful, they want to be the one that does something to somebody. But actually, as long as you know that nobody can really do anything to you, that I remember feeling so like treated so unfairly, because I actually left a job that I enjoyed because of the drama around me and the way that I was being treated all of a sudden. And oh man, it took a long time to get over that, because I felt like I had been pushed out. And if you are someone who is like, you know, like with this Three of Swords, you go, you know what? I really do need to cut off this job, because you realize that it's a dead end and you decide to do so. Don't think that you're going to feel good necessarily afterwards. You may feel really angry, because you may feel like you were cornered into doing it. And that sense of unfairness, that some people could have the authority to try to mess with you, mess with your livelihood, and try to do this to you, that can be like really upsetting. And I certainly felt like that myself. And it took me a long time to realize that if I had things go my way, I would have still been in that situation. There's a good chance, knowing me, knowing my makeup, and I would have never been doing this. And I am so much happier to be doing something that involves media, because that's something that interests me, you know, communication and spirituality, than what I was doing. Even though I liked what I was doing, it wasn't really touching me at the level that this does. So we all have our paths, and we may have more than one. We may wear more than one hat in a lifetime. But don't ever question when some of these more challenging things come up and you feel forced to leave a situation that it somehow is unfair. You may be very grateful within a matter of time. It may take a long time to get to that point, but you know, as long as you keep your mind open for it or to it, that's the important thing. And I also want to say that the Justice card in the workplace situation may be like some kind of arbitration, you know, to determine, or an investigation to determine what exactly happened that prevented you from getting what you thought was rightfully yours. So, and it may have to do with money. Maybe you were shorted money and you have to investigate it. So whatever's going on, I hope that at least some of these cards spoke to it. And if you would like a private reading, please click on the link below this video. Have a wonderful beginning of a new month of April. Take care. Bye.